Hello, hello, hello. I am Vakisha Fripp.
And I am Patrice Johnson.
And together we are
the voice of her.
There's something on my mind. There's something on my mind.
So we had a lot of feedback from our last episode. We talked about a lot of different topics, but the main issue that resonated with the majority of you all was about relationships and how long should you be in a relationship before you move to the next step? How long is too long to be in a relationship and not have a title of partner, of husband, of wife? And so we want to revisit that topic because we have some more to share.
Yep. And right before we go into that, I just want to say thank you for your responses,
Absolutely.
your engagement. Y'all are having full conversations with each other, and we love it. So we thought we'd definitely bring it back. And so last time I got I wouldn't want to say blindsided. So this time I'm going to say, so what's too long for you?
Oh, that's good. I hold to that 2-year mark for me because I use what's happened in my life. So at 2 years, I was engaged, right? At 2 years in the last 2 relationships, we were talking about marriage, making that move toward how we would consolidate our lives. So 2 years is long enough because I only date exclusively monogamously. I don't date in a secret way, or I don't want to date we're just doing this little hookup thing, just because that's not comfortable for me. It makes me uncomfortable to not be able to bring you around my friends, to not be able to share you with my family and my children, because I have kids, right? So at 2 years, I know whether I should tell you, please give me my key back, or I'm going to clean out this closet and let you move your stuff in. And vice versa. I want to move into your house too. Don't think that a person that's always moving here. I am open to moving.
So at 2 years, was that like something you happened to get to, just like, or was this that's your number? You know what I mean?
No, it just happened to it was just natural. Okay. I tend to spend a lot of time with my partner when I'm in a relationship. So once we really, I think even right past our first year together, we started thinking, where is this going?
Right.
What do you want? And before our last conversation, I was all about, I want to be married. But now I've pushed back and relaxed a little bit and thought, I could just be in a relationship where we just each other's partner.
Just partners?
Like life partners.
Life partners.
Yeah. Like I want to be in your will type thing. Like I want to get more than just pick a car when you die. I want to be your partner. Your family knows that. But if you're opposed to being married for whatever reason, we can clearly talk about it. But I don't think that's something that I'm like, no, I want to be married. Like it's not
so that's not a deal breaker.
It's not a deal breaker anymore. No.
Okay. So do you think that is innately you, or do you think life and experiences brought you to the 2-year mark?
It is innately me. Though my parents were not married, I know what marriage is. I love being married. I mean, I absolutely love being married. It took the question about what was going to happen away. I knew who I was doing everything with. I was doing it with my husband if I was going to go with a partner, right? I knew who was taking out the trash. I knew who was folding up the clothes. I knew certain things that are so small when you say it out loud, but in the course of a day, in the course of a lifetime, having that partner to know this is what he's going to do and that's what I'm going to do was refreshing to me. Like I never worried about that part of my life when I was married. I mean, that's 7 years I never even thought about it, right?
Right.
And then I married someone I never worried about them cheating. So when he would go out, I didn't care if there was never a late. You stayed out too late because he wasn't going to be doing nothing. I just know who he is, the fabric of who he was, right? And the same. If a dude tried to book me, I'm like, dude, you didn't see this? Now, we can't be more than this. My husband's crazy.
Yeah. Right? I like when you were married, too, because I knew at Sunday potluck, it was going to be a juicy hit.
It's going to be a pound cake.
Almond pound cake.
It's going to be an almond pound cake. Right. So it was regularity in my life. Now, there'd be things, and also on my job, when something would pop off, and I would call him, he would be like, no, not to let those people get you that upset. Or you want me to come up there? It'd be a either or, right? I always had somebody to say what was going on.
I know the person.
Oh, God.
And the personality.
Yeah. So he's like, don't let them people get you upset. They're not the same as you. They're not your equal. Or he'd be like, I'm about to put on some fatigue and I'll meet you at the front. Like it was either or type thing, right?
You're
so
right.
Yeah, it was comfortable having that person to call.
Right.
If I never felt unsafe. I always felt safe.
Right. We talked about this, and I think in any relationship, and you talked about this, I think, in the last episode about making the person feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think, people talk about, like what women want. And I think me and I always say, oh, we're so simple. But I mean, honestly, women, we're kind of simple too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We're like, text us back real quick, you know what I'm saying?
Just
And
let
don't
me
be
know
a
you got it.
hoe.
Let me know you got it.
And like, do we take each other's problems off the table
Yep.
at the end of the day? And now
Yep.
that your problems, what I got on the table may not be what you have on
Yep.
the table, right? But whoever my person is, whoever your person is,
Yep.
at the end of the day, when we sit here, like, do we take each other's problems
Yeah.
off the table? At the, what I'm
And can
saying?
I be myself with you?
And can I be
I
myself?
mean, I'm in a caftan. These little braids are going all over the place. I mean, I barely even have on Vaseline, and he'll still
Well,
choose
I've never
me.
seen you like that,
But
but
my
okay.
point is, even in that state, he still chooses me.
I love
And when he
that.
rolls over in the morning with Mackie Tacky or eye snot, I still choose him. See, because it ain't always going to be as finessed as it is right now.
It's
but could you
not.
be Stedman and Oprah?
I think, and let me be clear, I think, sometimes life experiences obviously, shape us and our experiences. For me, my parents have been together forever. So that's what I know. And at one point, I used to always say, and this was a level of ignorance before I had, lived a little, like I wanted to be with someone who came from a similar structure than what I came from.
Okay.
Because like when
You
I
mean
go
parents
home,
were married?
like, yeah, whose
Oh.
parents were married, because I think they had a different understanding and expectation of it. And maybe
get
they like, like they saw what that looks like. You know what I mean? Like for me, that was a norm. So I
Okay.
couldn't imagine because I don't know anything else,
Right.
right? And like to this day, when I go home, we eat dinner together. You know what I mean? Like we sit at the table. Hey, y'all, if my mom is cooking, if I'm in the bed, she'll wake me up. Like to this day, you know what I mean?
I like it.
Yeah. And if I'm like, well, mom, I'm on a call, she'll bring my food into the room, like while I'm
Oh, I
taking a
like
call.
it.
So,
I like
and
it.
I'm
I
not
like
saying
it. I
that
like it. I
has
like
to.
it. I like
I'm
it.
not
I like
saying
it.
that has to be my situation, but I'm saying I come from a different structure. So
Absolutely.
anything other than that will require. It's a whole lot of this over here to make
Yeah.
up for that, obviously, right? Times have changed,
Yeah.
people have changed, and I'm not saying everything about my parents' relationship was perfect, and I'm not saying you can't create your
Right,
own
right, right.
memories. But I prefer to be married.
Right.
Like I put it like this, my desire is
It's to be married. But
Yeah.
could you partner up though? Like I just happened to see Oprah. She's looking good, by the way. She was in
looks
this
real
little denim
good.
outfit.
She was
and
looking
she
real
was just
cute.
yeah, she was looking real cute. And I was like, wow. And I saw Stedman like standing back. Like I don't know if people even could see him in that frame.
Mm-hmm.
And he's so supportive, right? I think that's what his role has been. And I thought, well, maybe really our conversation and seeing that. And then I heard, so that was my proponent for a partner. But then
Right.
I heard Remy Ma and Papoose were talking.
Mm.
And he was saying that his parents were married. And so he knew what it was to be the husband because he had his father to model himself after.
Right.
And Remy Ma was saying her parents were not married. In fact, I don't even know if she knew her father. I don't know. I can't remember what she said. But she was like, that's why you had that white suit on at the wedding? He was like, right, because my dad had a white suit on and that picture sat on our mantle growing up. And he wanted to do everything his dad did. And I was like,
Right.
well, maybe... if you get a person who has seen that and knows what that means and what the work that's involved in doing that it would work out. But I don't want to put that pressure on the person I date. Were your parents married? Do you know what being a husband is? Because you've never been my husband.
Yeah, no, I think I don't want to put that pressure on anyone, but that doesn't stop me from desiring a certain type
Okay.
of relationship, right? Or a certain character in a man.
Okay.
Because there are some people who saw what their parents were or were not. I remember dating someone who did not drink. I can't remember the last time I dated a dude who didn't drink, who didn't have a hole in his earring. Now, he had other vices,
Okay.
obviously. However, well, not obviously, but obvious to me. But I used to always say, like, if you don't do this, you don't drink, like, well, what is your vice? However, then when I met his family, I understood why he didn't do certain things because there were certain things he saw in his family,
I
what I mean,
see.
that he didn't want to do. Because on Friday night, they got together, they had Crown Royal, everybody was drinking, they was playing Michael Jackson, and they was playing Big Wiz. You know what I
Okay.
mean? His whole thing was like, nah, that ain't the state, I want to be in
I
terms
see.
of that, right? So I don't want to put that pressure on anyone, but there are certain characteristics I think that I desire in a husband that probably stems from what I saw growing up.
Right.
There's certain characteristics in me that, we talked
Oh,
about
yeah.
this
Oh, yeah.
before.
Fixing that plate,
like my
baby.
mom my grandmother had 14 kids and 8 girls. Like to this day, if a man walked into the house, they're gonna fix his plate. Like when Hope and I are together, and like Hope loves to cook. She
Loves
liked
to
to be
cook.
in the kitchen. She got a spread. Like a lot of times, she got all boys in her house, so I know she's cooking. So I make the boys' plate. I make
Okay.
said plate first. He'd be like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? You need to come more often. Then by next hour, he's telling me to leave. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, my point is, it's what I saw.
Okay.
I'm not holding anybody to that. I think I have enough maturity and understanding that that's not everybody's story. But, you know, there's
But you know,
dark
that's a
side.
segue because we tend to, as a society, put people on a pedestal or put relationships on a pedestal, and that's why we're devastated when things go wrong.
I agree.
Tying into what just happened this week with one of the little Maori girls and her husband breaking up.
Right, and we're gonna play a little bit of it for you, because we were talking about earlier when people say, "Oh, relationship goes," and you know, just from Twitter and social media, you saw so many people, rightfully so, you know, surprised, devastated, you know, and you hear that whole thing. Oh my God, that's relationship goals, and I think you do have to be careful, in terms of what you consider or the expectations you place on others, based on experience or what you see outside, right?
Well, the difference between looking at your parents' relationship and then looking at a Tia or Tamara, whichever one, and Corey, what relationship is, we don't know them.
That is true.
See, at least you lived in the home where your mom and dad were. Maybe you weren't privileged to every conversation, every disagreement they had, but you saw how they moved even when they were upset with each other. You saw how they moved even when the best of times. You knew them because you were their child and you experienced them. We don't know anything but what they show us in a very edited fashion and a very edited version, right?
Yes.
Everything is coiffed. Every hair is in place. Those children have been told, don't mess around now. This our money.
Or you shot that video 20 times.
Because I think about when we take glamour shots. Now we don't take 1,000 of these. Only one of them we like, right? So it's different to have relationship goals when you talk about your parents or your aunts or your friends who you know, and then to have a celebrity relationship goals because you have no idea what they're doing.
Right. Now, while that's different, I do think you have to handle it the same when you're putting expectations on other people because you don't know what they've seen, what they've been experienced,
That's true.
right?
That's true.
So you kind of have to, you know, curate your experience also based on what they may have gone through and then figure out how that may work for you.
Yeah, because I've had people tell me stuff and the more they talk, I'm like, ooh, I'm getting out this car. Ooh, okay. He did.
But
what?
I
He
understand.
did. He experienced what?
I
That's a
understand
lot
that.
of trauma. I wouldn't be able to handle that.
That's fair.
So I do think sometimes, you know, the more we learn each other and you learn about somebody, it's time to unlock the door and get out the car.
I do think, but I think it goes back to what you said when you talk about, you know, 2 years, you should be able to kind of peel back if that is your intent.
If that's your intent,
if that's
to
your
be part
intent,
of the, right?
You should kind of know like where that is going or what that person is because I think because when you marry a person, you're marrying their family, you're marrying their baggage, you're marrying their experiences. So if you know you ain't had sex but one time every 3 years and he used to somebody hanging off a chandelier and he looking for the Mercedes experience, my club name or out name used to be Mercedes. I had to stop saying that because, you know what I'm saying, Mercedes means a different thing now. So I don't know what my new name is. So
Right, what do you got to be based on your offerings?
Yeah.
Got to be based on what you offer, boo.
I don't know what
Base your name on what you offer.
what I offer, but I know I offer no
You ain't offer
motherfucking
Mercedes
Mercedes experience.
experience. Okay.
So let me be clear
So
about
we have to-
that.
we have to change
yes, I got to
that
figure
name.
out, but that's a
Okay.
whole other show. However, comma.
That's funny. I love that.
But I
though.
do think you have to be
that's
careful.
No, but you know what do I always say? The conversation.
The conversation.
Because my auntie, when we were going to college, actually it wasn't my aunt, it was my line sister's mom was like, don't start doing stuff you're not going to keep up. Don't start acting like you're a different person when you meet this man because that's going to be his expectations. And I think that's why the conversation is so important. Is what I'm offering you what you want.
I
right?
agree. I agree.
I know I do. I think, once I'm in a relationship with you, you shouldn't want nothing else. You with me. What else did you want? Like, have you looked at that girl? Have you gone down her pedigree? You know what? I mean, you know what my day is like, and I still come home to you. Like, I always think I'm the bee's knees, and maybe I am the bee's knees, but maybe he got some other needs for honey besides honey, right? Maybe he needs something else besides what this bee is producing, right?
It's nothing wrong with feeling that way, right? I think because you know what you bring to the table.
Exactly.
But at the same time,
The
it does
table.
not the table. You are the table. But it does not mean that you don't have room for him
Absolutely.
to pull up and do
But that's
what he
new.
needs to
That's
do.
a new realization. It is. It is a new realization. It's a maturation too.
Right.
And I think when you're in a marriage and and you leave that marriage and you get back out here dating, things have changed. You have to open your own eyes, right? So there's always the optics of things. But when you have those conversations, you can say, what are you seeing? Because this is what I'm seeing.
Yeah. But I think you have to be, well, you said mature enough to want to see that. And I think it goes back to the intent and the conversation.
Yeah, the intent.
Because once you identify the intent, then you can have the conversation. Because truth be told, if all he wants to do is, you know, if he see himself in Brazil in a few years chilling, then, you know, what does that mean for us?
Right,
you know
right. We may not be long
We may
term.
not be the one.
So do you lead conversations with what you want? When does that come up in a conversation? How many dates are we in before people know you want to be married?
Ooh, it's so hard to say because I try not to lead with that.
You don't lead
but
with that?
I don't lead with that. But I think I let the conversation, to some degree, guide that. Because in the beginning, I'm also trying to figure out, like, you my vibe or not? You know, I just told you about a situation where I clearly snubbed somebody just being...
Missed out.
I'm not going to say miss out, but I certainly probably prejudged someone just because for whatever reason, you know what I mean? I don't think it was a miss out. But I was just using that to say, you know, sometimes as girls, we have our way, you know, where we're in social settings, you know. But yeah, I can't say that I start with that, but I do like to know early on what the intent is. And sometimes, let's be honest, my mother told me a long time ago, if you give a man a rope, he'll hang himself. Which means if you pay attention to what he's saying, he'll tell you everything you need to know. Whether it's through music, through vibes, through whatever.
Absolutely. You'll
know what he's into and what his goal is.
Yeah, I ask early. I do.
You ask, right?
I do ask. I mean, it may not be, it might be the first, if you ask me out on a date, before I go on the date, I will ask you because why are we doing this, right? So if you say, I don't ever want to be married again, I just really out here trying to, you know, I'm recently divorced, I'm just dating, I'm just seeing what's out here, then don't look this way. I'm not out here.
Would you cancel the date?
I wouldn't even go. We wouldn't even make it to the date.
Oh, okay. All right.
We wouldn't make it. Because I don't want to, why would I be, I don't want to waste your time. If you're out here to see what you can get from all the beautiful women out here. I mean, it's a plethora of amazing women in the District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia. And if you're out here just trying to date and find your way back on there, go ahead, lovey. Do it. Enjoy. I'm not out there offering that. So I am offering a get to know you experience where maybe we do vibe and maybe we do move into that monogamous area. If that's not being married again, being in a monogamous relationship, being posted up on Facebook, Instagram, whatever.
We should talk about that, the whole post. Do you post or you don't?
But if you're not interested in that, then it's okay.
It's okay.
Right? It is, I mean, absolutely no hard feelings. We never got to the point where feelings could be hard, right?
Do you care if he posts you or not? When does he have to post you?
I don't know if he ever has to post me. I would think he would want to.
But then if he doesn't?
Oh, I don't know how. I don't know
We'll
the
talk
answer
about
to
that
that
on another show.
Because we had a real offline conversation about with a male about what the dangers are of posting a person on Instagram, Facebook, and then showing the world basically. And it's not the world; it's people who follow you, but that's your world,
right?
Who you're dating, because it is a natural tendency for people to be sleuths. To go back and try to look up the person.
Absolutely.
I didn't ask you to find out where he went to high school. I don't need you to tell me that he has 2 kids. I already know these things.
Who told he sucked in 83?
Who cares? Like, they bring up things like, you know, he had a foreclosure. Well, how many years ago? Because if it was 7, I'm okay with that.
It's off his credit report.
If it was 7 years ago, he might be all right now. So I didn't need you to go and sleuth like that. And I think it's a natural tendency to people to want to know more about the person, to have an aha moment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And not in a celebratory way, like, girl, he a trillionaire. Oh my God, girl, we about to go. No, in an aha way, like, to see if that'll be a rift they can cause.
Oh, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, I think that conversation changed my perception about posting, but I definitely felt that way about relationship. I just don't think everything is for public consumption.
Right.
I low key like the mystique. I like
you love a low key. Ooh,
I love a level of mystique.
Low key.
Little eyes wide shut situation.
You are
like
low key.
You may or may not know. Like that's me right there. Like I like that, but that also comes with trust. You may be over there. You may be telling her how beautiful she is. You may even offer her a drink.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, at the end of the night, that's me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or the week, the day, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. So I don't mind that, but that comes with a level of trust.
That does come with a level of trust.
Okay. But I think this was so good.
I think it was good. I think we cleared it up because we had so many questions that came in about how long is too long. And what I will always say, like we say, do what's best for you. But don't get down the road too far is my advice. Don't be so far down the road where you're like, dang, I've been doing this for 9 years.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I
we
agree.
still just see each other on the weekends. Like, what are we doing here?
Right? The SOS band wrote that. I'm a weekend girl.
Yeah, the weekend girl might not. I mean, if you were in school and, you know, all tied up with your job and consumed in that way, then maybe. But if we out here living, you need to live some of those weekdays over here.
Yeah, we outside and we living. So
we are.
Either way, keep the conversation going.
Always.
Bye.
Bye.